What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lights Out F1 Podcast. I'm Patrick. That's Claire. That's Jakob. And we're going to talk about the Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort, the Netherlands, Max's home race. First off, just start off with what's your guys' rating for the weekend?
It was a great weekend, to be honest. It's hard to say that. I feel like when Max just kind of, ends up winning it, but it wasn't a foregone conclusion this time. I feel like the wet weather in the race definitely kept Max on his toes. He didn't actually know if it was going to work out or not, but ultimately it did, and it will. But yeah, so I'd say it was like a 9 out of 10 race weekend. Quali was also good.
Quali was fantastic. But Jakob,
Yeah, I didn't watch quali. If I'm being honest with you, I totally slept through it. But I mean, overall, it was a good weekend. It was like an 8 out of 10. I think most weekends it's a foregone conclusion that Max is gonna win.
yeah.
So I disagree with you on that. But
The last 9.
yeah,
Last
so
9 race weekends.
so like yeah, I mean, if it could have been a good, interesting race had they not had Mercedes had not messed up consecutively after quali straight through the race. But
Hmm.
overall, good weekend. I thought it was a good 8 out of 10 for racing in general, not for me,
Yeah,
but racing in general.
good. We
For
need
me,
some
it's
objective
it's
commentary.
probably a good. I'd say it's a 9 out of 10, honestly. We got, like, the weather conditions were awesome. People had the options to switch to interiors at the start of the race. A couple people didn't, most people did. Max won the race with 5 pit stops. Um,
6.
was it 6?
I think the tally totals to
Oh,
6.
6. All right, well, he tied Jensen for the most number of times going through the pits. So, um, yeah, and I think Gasly getting his first podium was really nice. Williams getting both cars in the Q3. Logan crashing his car twice.
Hey, he had a hydraulics problem in the
Yes.
race.
Um,
Not his fault. He lost steering.
yeah. Um, Great weekend overall. So I guess we'll start from the top. Uh, Not much to talk about here, but Red Bull. You guys' thoughts on their weekend?
There is a lot to talk about them. Yeah.
Go for it.
How about the call to bring Max in first over Checo? Not surprising. Red Bull move. Um, Checo getting that speedy in the pit lane. Seriously?
Yeah.
Buddy, could have had a podium.
Yeah.
I know it's hard, like when you're having those conditions, but like they know that it's just like gonna happen if you speed in the pit lane. Somehow Gasly got away with his speeding in the pit lane. Served his penalty early enough in the race where it didn't affect him. But Checo, he had no chance. Yeah, I was excited to see Checo leading for a while, but ultimately it didn't mean anything at all because Red Bull was just like, nah, we're just gonna get Max back in the front.
To be fair, he did gap Checo by like 22 seconds at
Yeah,
one point in the race, so it's not like it's a
but
big shocker.
when you're the driver leading, shouldn't you have the preferable race strategy?
Well, that's what you would say to McLaren as well, but they didn't do that in Hungary.
Yeah, but McLaren and
Because
Red Bull are basically in the same boat. They were petrified to lose their number one drivers.
Yeah.
So
So
that's just how it is. With when you make a clear number one driver in Max and Lando, you do everything in your power to kiss their ass and appeal to them. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yep.
moving on. Oh, I guess Red Bull also Max tied the record that Seb had set for 10 years now. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, did you see Max's celebration? He did like the same like thing as Seb.
that's cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm just saying, it
And
also
then
shows that Red Bull is
yeah,
probably one of the most dominant teams the sport's ever seen. And I don't mean that
yeah,
as
it
in
has to.
I don't mean that as in like, their eras of domination have been better than Mercedes, because quite frankly, I don't think Mercedes had the most unprecedented era of dominance in the history of the sport by far. the only one comparable to it before that was when McLaren was partnered up with Honda back between 88 and 91 when they had both Prost and Senna. That that was also the closest we ever got to a perfect season, where McLaren won 14 out of the 15 races that year and only lost the last one because a lapped driver didn't want to get lapped by the lead driver, and they both crashed. So
Yeah, but this situation is like Max being dominant.
yeah,
We're not seeing like a great competition like a Nico Rosberg and Hamilton early Mercedes one. But also, I have one semblance of hope to hold on to for next week. It's the curse.
oh,
The what?
the curse of Monza.
That
Yeah.
being?
If you win the race,
That
you
being-
DNF the next
yeah.
one.
And Max won last year, so
Please.
Yeah, it won't happen, but
but it's happened like 4 times.
yeah.
Charles,
Did
Pierre,
Charles?
and Daniel.
Did he DNF last? Did Charles? Oh no, Daniel won. Oh yeah, that makes sense. To
Yeah.
be fair though, that only applies to like those guys. Lewis hasn't DNF'd at Monza ever, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
he won. I think in 2018 and 2019, Charles won. That's the
Let
only
me
thing.
have my hope.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Everybody wants to have hope that Red Bull's not going to win
Yeah,
a race in a
that's
row.
my hope as well. I'm hoping he honestly, I'm hoping he gets punted into a wall for like 2 to 3 races, and he's got like a wrist injury like Daniel. That'd be great for me.
All
Yeah.
right, on to the
Oh,
next
poor
team.
Daniel.
I guess we'll go second in the standings. Mercedes. How do you guys feel about, like, I guess first off, their qualifying?
Not great. I think Lewis didn't make it to Q3.
Yeah, he got 13th.
Yeah. So I think strategy wise the team was lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, big bummer. Big bummer. Poor performance. Both drivers and then strategies. Yeah.
I think I didn't watch quality, so I couldn't tell you. But from what I read, there was a bunch of impeding and
Yeah, there's
a bunch of
it all over the grid.
so they
You
couldn't
can't really do anything about it.
And that's not something that's the problem that we're always going to have. And you add more teams to that, and it's just a whole mess. So, I mean, 20 drivers can't figure it out. 22, 24 drivers are going to suddenly figure it out. No, but I mean, overall, I think it was a great.
Hey Toto, how you doing over there?
It could have been a great recovery weekend had George not DNF'd at the end of it.
It was
Which
a
I'm still
racing
not-
incident. I mean,
Which I'm still not clear what happened, but
so him and Lando made
got a
contact.
puncture.
They
Yeah.
had down the second DRS straight. It was the right-hander into the left-hander, and they were just too close to it. It's a really narrow circuit, and you expect stuff like this to happen. That was a weird corner for it to happen at, and he got a puncture, so nothing you can do about it.
I mean, yeah, but overall, I think this is one of their worst weekends of the year, considering qualifying. But they still finished P5, I think
6.
Lewis finished. So, and despite making strategy errors in the race, and I think it was probably a good race as a fan of watching Lewis Hamilton and as a fan of his racecraft and a fan of him coming through the field. It was a good race to watch. He sliced up the field, got through it, made a comeback. Honestly, had he started a little bit higher, he probably would have finished on the podium, in my opinion. He would have probably got Sainz pretty quickly and Alonso. So,
I'm not so sure about Alonso. Alonso had some crazy pace this weekend.
I
Dark horse.
I mean, but if Lance Stroll is any indication, the Aston Martin isn't all that better. So
I wouldn't use Lance Mark.
But he's
Lance Stroll as
He's
the marker.
never the.
yeah, that's also true. It's also Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall a great week. Overall, an average weekend for them. Yeah, we'll see how they do in Monza.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still
That's gonna
P2
be
in
a
the
tough one
constructors.
for
So.
them. But we'll talk about
Yeah,
that in a
true.
sec.
True.
Aston Martin. It's the same
Out
story.
of nowhere.
I feel like, this was always a circuit. I feel like they were always going to do that. There's a good amount of slow speed, medium speed corners, which they're notoriously good at this year. I mean, they take podiums in basically every race that has a good amount of those, and I wasn't surprised that Fernando got one here. I was a little more surprised that Lewis didn't get one.
Yeah. You are?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, not so much a podium, just a points finish, because the Aston Martin upgrade clearly works, and this was a track that I was expecting both of them to score on, and Lance was P11 behind an Alpine. So, kind of disappointed, but I mean, it's Lance. So,
It's Lance. Yeah.
you guys' thoughts on Aston Martin, if any others?
Lance Stroll should be fired so quickly.
That's true.
They
Oh,
should
speaking of
get-
which, it just got confirmed today that Felipe Drugovich is going to do an FP1 session in Monza.
That means nothing to me unless Lance Stroll is fired. It means nothing. Like, the guy needs to be
Yeah.
fired. He
Yeah.
needs to go and do tennis or whatever it is that he wants to do, and give Felipe Drugovich.
He's not good enough to play professional tennis.
Go get an MBA like Nick DeVries, but
Oh, speaking
do
of which,
something.
The U.S.
That
Open
is
going
not-
on right now. Just a fun fact.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we'll talk about that later. But
So much stuff going on.
what was I? Yeah, he should be fired so quickly,
Mm.
and they should get either Felipe Drugovich or someone else to, or
Anyone else.
Stoffel Van Dorn is their reserve driver. Give Stoff a chance. Like,
Well,
Can I see
I
the
think-
stuff with like Alex Palou? Like, do you think he's gonna end up in F1?
no.
He's
never.
apparently talked to a lot of teams, and he broke his McLaren contract,
Yeah,
saying
I was
he's
gonna
not
say
going
he
to drive
broke
for them in Indy.
Yeah, he broke both of his contracts.
Yeah. So do you think he's
I think
like
they're taking
has
legal
something
action
lined up
against
in
him.
F1?
No chance.
No, I don't know.
There are drivers who like dedicate their lives, and he threw away like a.
Perfectly.
I mean, he was
opportunity.
never a perfectly good opportunity. I mean, he was never going to get a seat in F1 to begin with, but like it was an opportunity, and it's that was there for him to possibly get into F1 or test F1 cars at least. So he's not getting into F1 now.
Yeah. Moving on to Ferrari.
Sorry, what?
Charles Leclerc
What was that
crashed
noise?
twice. Or no, he crashed once, and during the race, his floor was damaged, so he retired. Sainz had a
Charles-
decent race.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts?
Someone needs to check in with Charles and make sure he's okay.
They need to get
Cause-
the best therapist on the planet, because that dude.
Charles
and then,
coming
yes,
around in last
yeah.
place, Leclerc.
It's crazy. But Sainz, great race. He kept people behind him. Then I was like, how are they not getting past him right now?
Yeah.
You know what? Like when I saw that happen, and the only thing that I could think of was the scene from The Godfather where the guy was, I forgot his name, but the main character in the first movie was like, look what they've done to my boy, look how they massacred him. I was like, dude, this is so apt for Charles right now. I feel
Yeah.
Overall, decent race weekend for them. They didn't bring any upgrades for this weekend, so which is kind of surprising. A lot of teams did bring upgrades to their cars this weekend. Red Bull did, Aston Martin did, Mercedes brought a small one, and a McLaren brought a small one. So just a lot of teams bringing upgrades, and Ferrari is, I think, the only major, I guess, big league team that didn't bring any upgrades this weekend. So hopefully they bring one for Monza. They brought livery change for Monza. So
Yeah.
not a
McDonald's livery change. Yeah.
Wait, is the livery out?
Yeah, the livery's out. You can
Yeah.
look on the
Just
F1
like a
app,
bunch
it's
of red and yellow. It looks like McDonald's.
It looks like
At
McDonald's.
least it's not
monster
just
car.
all yellow like the banana suit last year.
I prefer the banana
What?
suit over McDonald's.
Yeah.
But onto the next, McLaren.
Disappointing, honestly. Like great quality from Lando, and then just got the strategy wrong. Stayed out too long on the slicks. He gets caught out. Like McLaren is so good in wet weather, except for the strategy. Like the car could do so well.
Yep.
If Lando would just get on the right tire at the right time.
Yep.
It's so disappointing. I was just like, holy cow.
I think
This is not going
they
well.
qualified in 2nd and 8th, and they finished 7th and 9th. So
Yeah, and they were like in the very back for a lot of the Grand Prix.
yeah,
Don't get me started.
but they
I was
still
not happy.
clearly have some of the most pace on the grid. I don't know if you guys watched the tech talk at all beforehand, but Sam was talking about how McLaren are the second fastest team right now. They've gained about
Yeah.
1.1 seconds worth of pace over the course of the season.
That's a lot. Well, considering where they started,
Yeah.
they needed it.
Yes.
Where did they finish? And he called them the second fastest team on the grid.
Well, their finish was purely based on strategy calls. They waited one lap too long, and the rain that came down was way more than anyone was anticipating. Like, it was good enough for inters for maybe 2 laps, and teams that came in 1 lap late, it was basically ready for full wets. So, unfortunate timing, but you gotta be ready for that kind of thing too. So,
Yeah. I mean, 7th and 9th is where I expect them to be. I don't think they're gonna go. I think
But wait, Lando qualified P2.
I
Yeah,
fully
but,
expected the McLarens to be on the podium.
the thing is, I didn't expect it just because had Mercedes got their qualifying right, I would expect Lewis to be closer to them. Let's just say even if he doesn't finish in the top 3 on qualifying, he finishes at least somewhere between P4 and P8. And so I think Lewis, if you looked at the car, Lewis had a lot more pace compared to George. Like George was, on the hards, eventually he came into his own, but Lewis just seemed to have more pace on the softs, and he looked like the car looked a lot quicker than its qualifying pace seemed to be. So I think
I'd say the McLarens were faster, definitively this weekend. Like Lewis beat out Lando by 200ths of a second, and he had
What?
yeah, that
You
like,
just said Lewis.
yeah, in the race.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah,
and he got
but he
crushed in
No, yeah.
qualifying, quite frankly.
Huh?
So,
What? Yeah, but yeah. Well, they're all gonna have those types of
it's
weekends.
hard to like make a good case for Mercedes having more pace than McLaren right now. I mean, I'd say they have more pace than an Aston Martin, barely, but I'd say McLaren have clinched a P2, like as far as pace. That there's nobody on the grid
say
that
they're-
matches up to that.
But I don't think they're going to be able to convert it ultimately into points in the constructors the way
I'd say the
that
constructor
things are
standing
shaking
points
out.
gives a strong argument to me. So
I'd say yeah.
Well, constructors right now kind of talks about how the season has been going and not how it currently is, but diehard McLaren fan, sorry.
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But so moving on, Alpine, great weekend for them. Pierre finished out of P3, Ocon with a P10.
Yeah,
So
crazy weekend for them.
Solid
Unexpected,
points.
didn't see it coming. Pierre Gasly,
yeah.
what a race. He needed that. It's been not great for him.
They just
Yeah.
feel like such a dark horse all the time, though. Like whenever they score points, it's
Yeah.
like, how did you get up here, and why are you still here?
Yeah.
Like they don't show too much pace in qualifying, and when they do, it's a shocker. And then when they actually score points, it's a shocker.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's like
If
the
they
car's
keep up
been
this-
failing them a lot.
If they keep up this performance, it's like they're only 30 points behind McLaren. So what? 2 podiums. So
Yeah.
I don't think they'll catch.
yeah, 2 podiums is difficult, but McLaren's had a pretty up and down season, so it goes
Yeah, but
down.
since they got the upgrades, it's been just upward.
Yeah, but that's what we all said about a lot of other teams, and
Such as
we said, once the upgrade came from Mercedes, I thought it was going up, and then Ferrari thought, oh, we're going up, but like not really.
I don't think anyone thought Ferrari was going up.
Yeah. Actually, Ferrari are only 14 points off of Aston Martin, which is interesting, I guess.
Well, that's because Aston Martin took a steep drop.
We all thought that Aston Martin were looking like the team of the season to beat. Outside from Red Bull, but
They were, and then they got beat.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's a crazy season.
There are
Potential.
2 teams that have lost pace this year. One of them is Aston Martin, and the other one is AlphaTauri. So
Yeah. Oh my God, though, Liam Lawson,
we'll talk about
great
that.
job staying.
Um,
He doesn't like when I go out of order. Okay.
it's Williams.
What
Great
about-
qualifying, great race. Alex Albon, what a G.
Should have been higher.
Tire whisperer, what a guy.
He pulled 46 laps on the soft tire.
That's insane. I know there's a lot under the safety car, but like him in the rain as well,
Yeah.
wild. Where did he end up? Like
He got
P7?
He split the McLarens.
Yeah.
Damn.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the thing is, he should have had a P6, but they waited. They made him stay out during the pouring rain, just like Lando did, and everybody who stayed out for that extra lap lost out on like 4 or 5 positions, and it's miserable. And again, it's just poor strategy calls. So I mean, I fault the teams for it more than the drivers, because the teams have full control over that type of thing, and like everybody knew it was gonna be raining.
Well,
But
Charles came into the pits when Ferrari wasn't ready for him because he made the call.
yeah, well, Charles
Ended up with no tires waiting for him, but.
Well,
So is Williams' strategy like almost every race with Alex Albon, just run as long as you can, we'll see what happens.
Like
Almost every
race.
He's such a good tire holder now. It's crazy.
The man, I mean, he's done it for so long. If he wasn't a good tire whisperer, I'd be very worried about him. So
yeah.
Well,
Like when you compare him to a team, like when you compare him to other drivers who didn't have that year off, like when you compare him to George or Lando, or I'd say Max, but Max is probably one of the best tire holders as well, but that's because the Red Bull is good at it. But like when you compare him to the other people his age that have been on the grid for as long, it's like the fact that he had a year off and then comes back and just like says, hey, I can hold on to a set of hard tires for 68 laps, kind of wild.
Very wild.
Yeah.
I feel like, anyways, no, it's fine.
Yeah. I could talk about it all day. Logan Sargent needs a therapist. There were way too many pictures of him crying after what happened in both qualifying and
Dude, it was so funny. They just, every time in the race, if they didn't have anything going on, they just cut Logan.
I was like, dude, stop showing him. The guy is bawling his eyes out 24/7 right now. But yeah. So now they're definitively P7. They're 4 points ahead of Haas. And speaking of Haas, there's nothing to talk about. That team is a wreck, and I don't know why they re-signed both their drivers. Maybe just for consistency's sake, but like consistently not scoring.
It's the car. The drivers aren't doing anything wrong.
They're consistently not scoring points, and it's just like, yeah, it's you can blame it on the car.
It's not their fault. It's the pace of the car.
Yeah, the car is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they should probably like fire the entire engineering team and then get in a new set of people.
They have the money for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do.
Operating at the budget cap, and we haven't seen anything out of it. They've brought out 3 upgrades the entire year, and none of them were major. So
that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Just fire everybody.
P9 for Romeo. Joe had that.
Not much to say there either. Joe had a good race before his crash. Before his crash, the guy was up there. Yeah. He was holding his own, and then it just got. Well, it got red flagged, you know. So it's like the conditions were really bad, and it was bound to happen to one driver.
And it just had to be him. Although he said he was actually happier that he just survived that crash because he hit the wall going like 250 kilometers an hour in the wet.
Dude, he's had a lot of like scary things happen to him racing.
So,
yeah.
Unlucky guy, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Valtteri was just nowhere to be seen again. He was down in P14. And he felt like the car was in a good place, but I'm like, if that's what you feel like when the car's in a good place, and you guys are still sitting at the back, I couldn't imagine how bad it is.
Yeah.
Last team, but the team that probably has some of the most to talk about. I'll get to the Liam Lawson, Daniel Ricciardo thing in a sec, but Yuki Tsunoda held off Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris on 20-lap older tires for they had to pit to get around him.
What did it do for him though? Nothing. He ended up P15.
Ultimately, yeah, he ended up pretty far back. I think the team made him hold on to the tires for too long. And then when he did pit,
so sad.
Yeah. He is a very good driver. I will give him that. He needs to be in a better team. And yeah, it just is the way it is. Liam Lawson got his chance in F1. He took it, and he beat Yuki in the race.
Yeah. Probably strategy-wise.
Yeah.
Obviously, because he's a rookie, so it's like first race. He just kind of got lucky surviving out there.
Honestly,
real skill.
That's what his goal was. He's like, I'm just happy I finished the race, honestly. I wasn't expecting to score points. My whole goal was just
for most of the race, he was bumming around in last place, so like his strategy definitely helped him.
I don't think
it's not like he was.
Yeah.
I'm
spent
like
most of the race in like 16, 17.
the only overtake I saw him do was on Charles in a damaged car. So
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, he was bumming around and like towards the lower end.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
eventually the
expected.
strategy. Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, first F1 race of his career, so you can't really say anything.
I mean,
But
13th isn't a
Yeah.
bad first race, so
No,
So-
definitely not.
no, yeah, 100%. So
I
we'll
think
see how he does
Daniel
in
got
Monza.
14th back on his first race, back with AlphaTauri, and then he got 16th. So Liam was technically beating Daniel in the standings. But yeah, it's confirmed
Is
he'll
that
be
true?
racing. Yeah, well, I don't think it'll actually show it in the standings, but
Wouldn't it be funny if it did though?
that'd be
No,
hilarious.
yeah, because it doesn't because Daniel probably has more races.
Yeah, he has one more race. But it is confirmed that Liam is going to be racing in Monza, so that is exciting. We'll get another chance to see him. Hopefully Daniel can come back from the surgery. Apparently it went well. It's all good. He just has to go through a couple weeks of physical therapy, and he'll be there. I hope it's not like a Lance situation, but
Yeah.
you never know with these types of things. But yeah, we have Monza next weekend. So all the teams that normally suck on the high downforce circuits will come to the fore. If I had to take a guess, you'll definitely see the Williams pretty high up there because that's just what they're known for. You'll definitely see the Alpines up there because they were the original straight line speed monsters, and I don't doubt that they'll still be up there. Pierre Gasly's on a hot streak right now, and I think those are the only two teams that are notorious for their straight line speed besides, of course, the obvious Red Bull. And I think you can expect the Mercedes, McLarens, and Aston Martins to all fall back because none of them have great straight
All
line
right.
speed.
Well, Max is gonna DNF because he's first.
Hopefully we get another race winner, honestly. I don't even care if it's Checo at this point. Just give me another race winner.
Please, Red Bull would sooner DNF both their drivers than let Checo win a race. If Checo wins the race, I'll get on our next podcast and sing the praises of Max Verstappen for 5 minutes straight. I'll compliment his ass off. But
I'm gonna
if
like,
Checo
if he actually wins the race after Max DNFs, if he does, I'm going to clip this and then put it at the start of the episode. And
If
then
he does,
we're
if
gonna
you
have
can do it.
just a video of you just praising Max.
if he wins it, I will do it. But the probability is that Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Fernando Alonso, and Carlos Sainz are more likely to win the race, and Charles Leclerc than Checo. So
I think the
promise you
only
that
person
much.
out of that entire grouping that I would say would beat Checo just because the nature of the track and the car is Fernando, and
I said Lewis.
the Mercedes. doesn't have the speed.
You always say Lewis though.
No, it doesn't matter, dude. Like everywhere that Checo is supposed to be strong, like somehow a car definitely beats him. So I think Lewis and Fernando have a good shot of beating him on pace this weekend.
I mean, Lewis said his goal is to take P2 off of Checo, and he actually just lost P3 to Fernando, so I'm not holding out hope for him right now.
I am. I'm holding out hope for the rest of the season.
Yeah, a long season, buddy.
I can see Lewis
Yeah,
taking
come on.
P3, but I don't see him taking P2.
What's the
All
point?
right, whatever. All right. Now, if you stay to the end of the episode,
50 points, bro. Easy money, dude. Lewis Hamilton's the
Easy
second
money.
half. Lewis Hamilton's the second half of the season.
he is.
He'll come into his own, and then you'll see why he's the king, and not this shithead Max. Sorry, never mind. Continue. I was just about
Well,
to.
you're
leave
supposed to
that.
see his praises.
You will see the king. That's only if Max Verstappen DNFs and Checo wins. By the way, I'm not going to do it otherwise.
You were saying the same thing last year that we would, and I quote, see the king of Lewis, and he didn't win a single race last year, so.
Bro, it's because Max Verstappen. It's because Max Verstappen's a little shit. That's why. He admitted it. He intentionally drove into that space in Brazil and took Lewis basically out of contention for the win. If Lewis Hamilton had kept Max Verstappen's a little aggressive little shit. And if I have to sing his praises next weekend, I'll do it. But he's an aggressive little shit who's vindictive and is only a one-time world champion. So far.
It's about 3, actually, but
He's only, in my eyes, he's only one time. He'll be 2 this year, but one time so far. Officially, he's a one-time.
here, folks, we have somebody who still just can't live with 2021.
I will never forget. I will never forget.
No, it's just Lewis is good, but the Mercedes just isn't good enough.
Yeah, he definitely needs to.
They don't have the budget to make that car faster in a straight line, and I don't think they have the ability to. It's the struggle of all the Mercedes engine cars, save for the Williams, and McLaren have it openly admitted to sucking at straight line speed. Aston Martin are clearly slow in straight line speed, and Mercedes are notoriously slow in straight line speed. So, at the tempo of speed where all you have is long straights and tight corners, I don't see them doing too hot. They'll still be on the points, obviously, but I don't see a podium for. I see a podium for Lando. I don't see a podium for Lewis.
I mean, we'll see. I think turn one in Monza always has a way of causing some chaos, and then
Yeah, I'd say
you see.
maybe one car on top of another.
Yeah, and whose fault was that?
That was both their faults.
I disagree, since I'm pretty sure Max Verstappen got a penalty for it.
He got a penalty, but Lewis admitted that it was a racing incident. Like that's the type of incident that you can't get around when one car's on a sausage curb. And I feel like Monza's the biggest track where this is a problem. Everybody complains about the sausage curbs at the chicanes in Monza because those are probably the second most dangerous ones on the entire calendar.
Yeah, which is why a driver of Max Verstappen's caliber should have known the difference.
Lewis
known.
didn't leave him any space.
But there was like a whole rule about cornering and stuff like that. So
Just
like,
saying, Lewis admitted it that he didn't give him enough space. And
yes, but I'm a diehard Team LH fan. So
yeah,
like,
exactly. So you should be agreeing with what Lewis says.
I will
He's
agree to Lewis
contradicting the king.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll defend him as much as possible.
That's not defending him. That's contradicting him. That's actually going against him.
He doesn't know. He had to be nice to Max. That's why I said
is it? He doesn't have to be nice to Max.
He had to diffuse the tension.
Sure. He didn't.
There's too much tension. He's not a very angry person. So
okay.
If
you guys stayed to the end of the episode, let me know if you think that the DNF curse will hold up.
No.
And
Yes.
until next time, Jakob's gonna take us out.
Oh, I thought I did it last time.
Did you?
No, I did it last time.
Jakob's taking us out.
It's lights out and away we go.